Hi everyone, my name is Khitam. I am a Bedouin women activist in the Negev, and this is 18 questions, 40 Israeli thinkers from 1840.
So we'll begin where we always do. As an Israeli and as a Bedouin, how are you feeling at this moment in Israeli history?
Can you be specific with the question? You mean being a citizen Israeli or being after thing like?
However you want to answer it. It's an open question.
I would say my feeling to my Israeli citizens sometimes getting all the time getting changed. It's up to the situation that we have in our country, and we can see that we have a lot of actions that happen here with the security issues and all of that. It's not easy to be Arab and Bedouin in the Israel. Sometimes I feel I want to be part of the Israeli society, but sometimes I feel that the Israeli society, they don't want me to be part of that. So especially after 7 October, that so many things that happen and change, and people have been changed with their feelings for the Arabs and for the Bedouin. Even though after 7 October, I live in the South, and I was part of 7 October because I have been lost friends in 7 October also. And for the Bedouin society, it was a huge shock, and it was a huge thing because we have lost like 45 people from the Bedouin society in that day that people have been working in the Outaf in that time, and they have been killed by Hamas, and people they have been killed by the rockets, especially in unrecognized villages. And if I want to explain what that means, unrecognized villages, people, 50% of the Bedouin society living in places that not recognized by the country, and they don't have the basic service. One of them, they don't have water, electric, roads, and all of that. And what happened 7 October, people have been killed by the rocket because they don't have shelters and places to get safe. And 8 young boys have been killed. And that's one of my angry about the government, because they don't really protect that people that they shouldn't be killed by the rockets. Because I feel they have to be in the government and the country responsibility. And unfortunately, we have lost a lot of people from the Bedouin society in 7 October. And also, we, in the same days, I can say that we want to feel and be part of the Israel society, and we felt we have the same faith in that day. But after 2 months and 3 months, the government just continue to destroy houses of people living in unrecognized villages, and they still treat two people that are not part of this society. So that's the hard thing that I have feeling right now.
Can you say a little bit more about the unrecognized communities that the Bedouin Israelis are living in?
Yeah, well, I would say like today we're talking about 330,000 people from the Bedouin society living in the Negev. 45%, I think, or almost 50% of them living in unrecognized villages. Being unrecognized village, that mean don't have the basic service, you don't have electrics, you don't have the water, and you don't have roads. And if you go to the street for 25, you will see a lot of people living divided in different places in the desert, but they don't have really a place to live. And the government still not bringing any solution for those people living in unrecognized villages.
Why are the villages unrecognized? I'm not familiar with the.
I will not to get to that discussion, but I would say there is people before 48 people from the Bedouin society have owned the lands here in the Negev, and the government, they don't recognize those lands for the Bedouin because they want to take all the Negev, and they all the time saying that the Bedouin society occupied for all the Negev, and that's not true. By the way, we will see just 3% of the Bedouin society living in this land. So I would say like it's a long term of fight between the Bedouin society and the government to get recognized, and also to give them the places that they can live in dignity. And I would say most of the Bedouin society have lived in central way, the meaning of agriculture. They asking or demand the government they can fit these places for the way of their life. For example, to get to also have their center is thus for agriculture, they can keep continuing doing that. And the government refused to do that. And I will not get into, I'm not really know the issue for deeply, but I would say still people, still citizens of Israel living in places that the government should recognize that places, and that's not happening. And we can see after 7 October that people have been just killed because they don't have anything that the shelter, and they can see the sky. This is the sky that they protect them. So unfortunately that's what happened for unrecognized villages here.
Can you share a little bit more about your experience of October 7th?
It's wow. I remember of 7 October, it was very I would say it was very shocking day for me, because it's the first time that I saw all the videos and the pictures people have been killed in the Otef, and I was like updating by the groups and WhatsApp of my friends living in the Otef, and they were saying Hamas get in their kibbutz. I was saying that cannot happen. I couldn't believe that. I was in shock because I was said it must be like it must be a movie. It can't be that that's happening by people from my own religion, from my own culture. They have been doing that. And I felt so guilty in that time, because I have friends and living in the Atif that they updating. I was talking to them and they was telling us what's happening there. And I couldn't say anything in that day because I felt shame. I felt guilty. Wow. I felt so many feelings that I couldn't now I can talk about Gaza in that time, even though it's so complicated situation for me, because I have a friend in Gaza, I have relative, I have people that I know in Gaza. And I was like, from the other side, I was so want to contain my friends. I want to be with them from the Otif and from the Jewish. I couldn't even say anything about Gaza, painful, and I want to be with them. But from the other side, my heart is getting part with Gaza, with the people, with the children, the people that I know, that I am seeing them, that I'm talking with them, that they have families in Gaza. And it's like being in the middle. You cannot be in one side. And that people, a lot of from the Arab, Palestinian, from the Jewish, telling me you have to take a side. And I was like, it's so horrible for me, like, to hear this sentence, you have to take a side. I was like, I can't take any sides. The only side that I can take it is a humanity side. What happened in the Otev, it's a horrible thing. And what is going on in Gaza, it's also a horrible thing. And seeing dead children and in Gaza and what's going on, it's like breaking my heart. But from the other side, I know from also my society have been killed by Hamas. And I was like all the time people ask me, are you condemn Hamas in that time? And I was like, you can't ask me this question, because it's not about condemn or not condemn. There's a human being, people have been killed in that day. So of course Hamas not presenting me they are not present my Islam value. I am a very religious person. I believe in God. My God doesn't believe that I should kill someone. My Islam doesn't believe that I have to take a life of the children of the oldest people there. So all the time was like protecting myself, protect my Islam, my religious that I really love. Mm-hmm. So in that time I was like all the time. From the other side, I was like really understand my Jews. They were so angry and they're still in trauma, and we still having this war. So in the first 3 months, I couldn't talk about Gaza. I couldn't talk my Palestinian identity in that time, because I know they were like, they don't want to hear anything about the other side. And I was so containing their feelings. I would like want to hug them all the time. But after the 3 months, I wanted people to know what's going on in Gaza. Mm-hmm. My friends that I know in Gaza, my friend that their family have been taken, destroyed, and everything. So I was like the middle of everything in this world. It's like you feel never contain anyone. Mm-hmm. In that situation. You feel never, even though people that you know, you will like feel so disappointed from people, from the Jews. They've said, I don't have any feeling of the children of Gaza. I was so disappointed, because for me a child is a child, even though the child of the Houtif is the same child of Gaza. And if you support killing child, I think you will support killing other child. So I was like all the time fighting for the people, to see the humanity in them, mm-hmm. to see how much you have to be a human being in this situation, not supporting dead people, not supporting the war in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And definitely I will never to support the violence in 7 October, because I have been affected deeply by 7 October, even though that I was so far, but I had a friend that I lost there. So, yeah.
You were talking before about how it's very complicated for you, a lot of everything post-October 7th, because you're Israeli and you're in Israeli society, and then as a Bedouin, as a Palestinian woman, as an Arab, you have friends and family who are in Gaza. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I have 2 friends that I got to know them, and one of them, she's living in Istanbul, because she have left Gaza before 2 years. And the other one, she's living in Italy, and she has also have she left it also like before 5 years, I guess, to Italy to get married with someone that she's now. And you have to know the story. She got married with that person in Zoom, because she didn't get to be with him physically, because all the thing that you have to process to go to Egypt and to get the permission to go to Egypt and then go to Italy. And that's a huge story that she have been through, by the way, because of all the issues before 7 October. And she's now in Italy. I have been visit her like in the last summer in July. And she was like different person. She looks more older, because she have lost her whole family in Gaza. And she also didn't have the opportunity to get back to Gaza and to be with her family, because she cannot leave Italy. If she's leaving Italy, that means she will come back. I don't know when. Maybe she will never come back to her husband. And it's pain, like from far away and distance, and from the other side, she wasn't with her family, and when she lost them, and it was a very, very painful thing.
How have your religious views changed since October 7th?
I think I was it's getting stronger. I want to show, like, I have my best friend. She's very religious, and she's Jewish, by the way, and she's like kosher and all of that, and she's keeping all the tough thing, and we all the time talking about how is the both religions having the same values, having the same thing about be kind to the others. And I think after, with my friendship with this amazing woman, Manucha, I all the time taking a lot of things that she's telling me about the Jewish. And I was like saying her, okay, my Islam is the same, but you can just do it in different way. You can treat to your, like, you can pray in different way, but we both pray for the same God. And I actually, after my friendship, we have like 2-3 years together and friends, I getting stronger to my religious, because I saw that the religious is not, we cannot blame the religion for all the violence and extremely people that they being believing in violence and all of that. And I think those values make me more stronger to my Islam. And all the time I was seeing God, that He is loving God, that He love His believers. So I think being connected to God is that you have it, but you have it in different way.
What do you look for when deciding which Knesset party you want to vote for? What are the things that you think about or that you try to find?
It's, first of all, I was looking for, I would say we cannot get any equal right, never. But I think if we start to thinking of equal rights between people, that will be a great start. For example, between, for the Jewish citizens and the Arab citizens in Israel. So I never really cared who was going, I never care about the person who's going to be there in any for voting for them. I was always voting for people that I have the same values they are promoting, equality and equal rights. Equal rights and justice. That's very important for me. That who's someone that is fighting for justice for everyone. So when I start to say that we will never be in equal rights, I can live with that. But justice, it's a very important thing. If anyone can see and he's fighting for justice for everyone, I'm gonna be there. If I'm seeing myself as a woman, for example, if that's one of the examples that I will vote for people that they are fighting for justice. So this is the main thing for me.
Which is more important for Israel, Judaism or democracy?
If you're asking today, I would say Judaism after 7 October. And there's people, they are fighting for democracy. But there's like not so much. And that's what make me worry. But I can understand that, like, people from the Jewish society saying that we we are so scared for our existence here in Israel, for our land, for our country. And they feel they want to be more close to the Judaism and the religions that they can like still hear for. That's what make them like get too connected to this land. So yeah, I think uh, I think it's after 7 October, it's more Judaism.
Hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the type of work you do for that shared society that you were mentioning earlier?
I for now, I would say that I was after 7 October. I was part of the people they established the common emergency room for all the Negev, for the Bedouin society and the Jewish. Like the first thing that we start to do it is like how we will keep this connected between people for the Jewish and the Arabs here. And we start with the emergency room that we want to help people, like from the Jewish towns, and for example, Ofakim and Rahat, if we are here. So that's one of the things that I start to do it. And after that, it's very important for me to be part of many panels of people. They getting together for we stand together, for example. And from doing that, I am getting meetings of students, Arab, Palestinian, and Jewish students, and also a group of youth and youngs. They can get and talk to each other. Because one of the things that happened after 7 October was the crisis between Arab and Jewish. And a lot of Jews say, I don't have any trust in Arab. And the same thing, people after 7 October, all of them have been in a trauma. And we still, by the way, in trauma. And people, they don't have any trust in each other. So I'm trying.
You're saying Jews and Arabs don't have trust in each other.
Yeah, after 7 October, it's like making a huge crisis. And I'm trying in many things and many ways to like bringing students together and they can talk, and that Arab student, they can telling the Jewish student about his complexity, the complexity that he having in this war after 7 October. From the other side, I live here. I am part of this country. I am Israeli citizen, but from the other side, I have relatives in Gaza. So how I can be like choose any side? I am between you and between,
You're saying choose the side between. Choose the side between Israeli, like Israel, and then the Gazan civilians who are in
and
the
that
war.
I think I would say for the Bedouin society, we like most of them, they have like 70% of them, they have relative in Gaza, even though they were got the shock from Hamas, and they were like they have been affected very badly by Hamas in that day, but they still have relatives, and they cannot say that I will not recognize about this relatives in Gaza. So they were like between, and it was very complicated situation for most of the people that I know. They have like relatives or friends in Gaza, and it's so complicated situation. That's everyone that they have been dealing in here.
Can you share a little bit about the kinds of things you see in the... Actually, let me ask that question differently. What are the kinds of things you see when you're bringing Arab and Jewish students together in Israel to talk? What are the kinds of things you're hoping that they'll achieve, and do you feel like they're making that progress?
I think, first of all, that to bring them to start to talk. And I would say most of both sides, they have pain. They have pain that they have been dealing with, even though before 7 October, like after 48 for the Palestinian people here that they are living in Israel, and also people outside Israel, they will like, they're all the time talking about how the country neglected them and they were not treat them as an equal, and so many challenges that they have been dealing in Israel. But from the other side, there is Jewish. They are talking about friends that they have been lost in the army, and from the they have been lost in so many bombs that they have in the buses, that or in many different things that happen. All the conflicts, it's like from a lot of years, people with they were all of them they having pain. And I think if we want them to start to talk and to get to know each other, it's supposed to start with talking about their pain. And that will make people get connected, and they will understand each other if they both start with their pain, with their feelings. I'm not going to start I never care about if they're going to talk about the government. It's not the issue here, because the government...
It's about their humanity and their
story. And start with their humanity and with their feelings, and start with their stories. Everyone have a story. Everyone have a different story. And I think if we start from there, everything will be great. And then they will continue. And I think that's what I'm doing in many meetings for groups. Just to start from there. Tell them about your story. Even though this story is hard, even though the other side will not hear it, they will not. But this is your story. No one can discuss your story. And I think that's what makes people to get to each other to talk, and to understand the complexity of their daily life that they are having.
What role should the Israeli government have in religious matters in Israeli society?
I think today, if we can see, we can see that there is... I think we have to... I treat to the religious as a personal thing. They have to separate between the government and the religions, because religious is something, it's so personal thing. It's like, if I want to be very religious, I supposed to be to pray in different way, as I said. But and the government should be a democracy and start to see the people, and it have to be separated. And for example, if I see in Shabbat, I don't have any transportation, sorry. And that sometimes make me sometimes it's make me angry. Why? I am not, even though I'm not Jewish, why am I supposed to be not having transportation in Shabbat? So for me, there is no the government doesn't, in the issue, the religion issue, they doesn't see all the citizens. I would say it's supposed to be separated. And for example, United States, maybe they can they can taking the role model for United States that is different between separated between religious and government.
What would you say Zionism is for you?
I would say that if you ask me as Arab here, I would say it's like, if I hear this word, I feel that it's against me, against my existence here in Israel. Maybe some people, even though my friend that I have been told you about, she's very Zionist, but for my feeling, sometimes it make me
Can you say more about that? Or why it makes you feel that way? Because
of If we will start, there's so many issues that happen. Like in 48, the government, the Israel country have been established. But from the other side, it's have been established by the Zionism movement. And that's happened before, like way of years. And they were planning to get to Palestine and to be part of, like, taking this land from people. But I would say from my story, I would say, like, in a 48, my health family have been transferred to Jordan. Because in 48, in the Nakba, a lot of people that from my family, that it's part of my story, the Nakba, and also the stories of my grandmother that she have been told me about how Israel have been established by transfer. And there is people of the Jewish people, they would say, no, we didn't transfer anyone, they just lived. And that's not exactly the story, because people have been, like, transferred by many different way, one of them violence way. So I would say it's make me uncomfortable, this word Zionism. And but I am aware today that I have Jewish friends, they are believing in Zionism. It's part of their way to be like being here in Israel. And I will not discuss that. Like, I will not say, like, discuss this with them. But from the other side, this is my story. This is my own historical story of Zionism.
So I'm also curious if you can share a little bit more, because I think it's so interesting that for you, there's part of your story is feeling like Zionism isn't for you. And then another part of your story is the work you're doing now to create a shared society with Jews and Arabs and with future leaders of the state of Israel. So I'm curious, how do you hold both those things, and how do you understand that for yourself?
Yeah, it's I would say it's sometimes it's very complicated thing, and it's very hard for me, but I would say this is our reality. I don't believe that being I don't believe that I should kick anyone from here, and the same side, I don't believe the other side should kick me, because we live here. I born here, my family have been born here. And even though but if I'm talking about my story, it's part of my life, but it's not supposed to be threatening in anyone. Like, I believe this is my story, but I want the other side to recognize it, to start to telling me. I don't accept they're going to be taking responsibility about my story, but they will say, Khitam, maybe that's happened in 40. That's what happened. That's my grandmother and whatever. They have been doing this, but I am today here. I'm not responsible for this, what happened in 48. But let's start to building a new life together. Let's do something together and fight for justice here. And because I don't see violence is the good way to solve problems. I believe peace and shared society and to get to be living together, it's part of our life, and we have to fight for it. Because we don't have any, like, I don't see myself in another country because I love this country. This is my homeland. But from the other side, I don't see myself without my Jewish friends. I can't see myself without them. They are my friends.
You were saying that you love this country. If you were making the case for Israel, where would you begin?
You mean, can you be specific?
Sure. If someone was asking you to explain or to justify to explain like why you love this country so much and why you're so committed to this country, where would you begin? How would you start explaining that to them?
I would start to explain about the Negev. I love the desert. This is my air. This is my air here, the Negev and the desert. It's part of me. It's part of my mother's story of that she was like she have sheep, and she was like getting from place to place, and they have the that tradition life, and that was part of my history and part of my tradition life. And and what I love about my country, my homeland here, even though it's so complicated, but Jerusalem, for example, it's one part of my also my Islam story about the Al-Aqsa, and it's a story of the Prophet Muhammad, that he come to Al-Aqsa, and there is a huge story about Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, that he came here, and it's part of my religion, my loving religion. And I don't know how to explain it. Even though I'm talking about this land, I'm getting so emotions, because I feel I don't see myself in another country. Even though I would say, like, before 5 years, I was thinking to leave. I was thinking like to leave to the States, to the Europe, and be part of like, I was like so depressed about the situation here, from the violence and many things. But I think it's
What convinced you to stay?
People here. Even it's not easy. So many times we fight, like we fight with each other, but like day after you can see us sitting and drinking coffee together, and it's insane. Like in May, and what's happening with things in May, in that like
2021.
Yeah, and I remember that day, after that day, oh my God, it was very complicated thing for me. I was like, it's so hard. It was the breaking and the crisis relationship between Arab and Jewish here in involved cities, for example, Lod and Ramla and Jaffa. I was crying all the time, because it's like something that I was working on it, and suddenly everything have been disappear. And then I remember after that situation, like everything have been ended, and I was like in a coffee shop, and I was like seeing all the Bedouin and the Jewish and the Arab drinking together. I would say, you are crazy. Like it was a crazy thing. And I think making me more stronger to stay here after 7 October also. Even though that I could leave simply, but I felt the responsibility. If I leave, then who is going, like, of course there is many people, but I felt responsibility to make this place better, to working hard for making people keep talking to each other, Jewish and Arab. And it's not easy, but it's a start.
Can questioning the actions of the Israeli government and army, even in this war or in general, can doing that be considered a form of love and patriotism?
Yeah, it's obvious for me. If like, there's a friend that I have been working, and they were in the army, and they got the order to be in the Miluim, and he was explaining for me, like, Khitam, I know what you're thinking, but we have to do something, because this is our love to our country, to be like being in army. I never know that, by the way. I never know that the army, it's a huge an issue for the Jewish people here. And in this war, I have been realized this is part of their life. It doesn't matter if I accept it or not. It doesn't matter if I agree or not. But this is their story. And this is like how they see the army that's supposed to be like in Gaza. It's part of their patriarchy. But the government,
So just to clarify my question a little bit, can questioning the government or the army, so questioning it, I don't know about this, I'm not sure about that, or criticizing, can doing that be type of love and patriotism? Is the question clear or not so much?
not so much.
A lot of when we're speaking, there are a lot of criticisms that you have about the government and about different things in Israel. When you have those types of questions, can asking those questions or making those criticisms, is that a type of love and patriotism?
For me? You ask?
Yeah, does that come from a place where it comes from love and it comes from patriotism? How do you understand that when people, because a lot of people in Israeli society, always have things that they find, this is bad, this needs to be fixed, we need to change that. And so sometimes the reason why we ask this question is because sometimes people think, no, I'm not allowed to question. If I question, I'm not a good Israeli, I'm not a good citizen. And I'm curious, your perspective on that. Do you agree with that? Do you think that everybody should criticize, not criticize?
I would say okay, now I understand your question. I would say in my situation, it's not easy to be I cannot criticize. I sometimes I'm afraid to share post on Facebook. Sometimes it's coming from different sides. It's one side that I'm afraid going to get arrested me. I'm really afraid because it's happened after 7 October. A lot of people of the Arab citizens here got arrested and they have been stopped their jobs and not continue to work because they were feeling empathy. Maybe the thing have been writing in Arab translated that you support Hamas or you support terrorism.
Meaning they didn't, but when they translated, it sounded like they were.
Yeah, they were sounded. Maybe even though their empathy have been translated as you are supporting terrorism, and that's happened to many people that I know, and people they just have been arrested, and I can say that I'm afraid to share my opinion about many things. And from the other side, I don't want to be, I'm working in, I don't want to be a person that if I say something and that will hurt my friends. If I all the time continue, if I am sharing this post, what they were thinking about. And how they will feel about that. So I really trying to be so politically correct and not being to make people angry and upset. So I'm trying to be really so and neutral, not saying my opinion. I'm afraid, honestly.
Do you think peace between Israelis and Palestinians will happen within your lifetime?
I hope so. I am praying for that. I am trying to do my best in many ways. This is the only solution. Violence never solve any problem. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that even in what happened 7 October, many people from the OTF have been saying that they lost their families, but they don't believe they should be losing more and more people. And it's...
Meaning the people from the OTF from October 7th, they're saying that they don't want more people to die from the war.
Yes, I have many people that I know that they saying, I lost my parents, even though a revenge will not like bringing my parents back. And even though it's so hard, like it's hearing this from this person that he's saying that, you feel like there's a hope. Let's start. There's a hope because they have been lost their parents. And from the other side, they saying the solution is that it start to be with talking to each other and to find the way for the peace. And this is the solution. It's so bad that people we are losing a lot of people from both sides, I would say. Even though I'm not a happy person if I'm hearing about the Jewish soldier, they have been dying in Gaza. I have been lost a Jewish friend, my best friend, that was a soldier also.
Oh, wow. What's his name? Are you comfortable sharing?
Adam Bismuth. We worked together and we were best friend. And I was not happy. Why I should losing him?
When was he killed?
He was in Gaza. Even though it's so complicated for me, he was in Gaza, he was like, and that's happened in last January, and it was very hard. Like, even though I couldn't go and comfort the family, because it's like I would feel betraying my people. But he is my best friend that I lost. So it's so complicated and it's so hard.
What do you think should happen with Gaza and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict after the war ends?
Wow, so many things. First of all, to stop the war, let's start from there. And the people start collect their pain everywhere, pains, and dealing with their pains. And I think, even though it sounds so imagination, I think people from Gaza supposed to meet people from here, from Ba'uteif. And maybe they can start sharing their pains, sharing the same pain that they have been through in this war. And I believe maybe something will get out from that. Maybe people will see this pain it can't be wasted.
To share their stories, like you were telling before.
And can't be wasted. With this pain we have to start with actions and start to do some things between two peoples. And I think that's what's supposed to be. And I know the government, I think we should start with the people, first of all, because it's a huge pain that they have to be dealing with, and they should start to talk about it. And I don't know about the government. I hope that the government can change someday and we all have better place to live in here.
What does the world misunderstand about Israeli society and Arab society?
First of all, I will start with the Israel society. It's, for example, all the protests that happen around the world. It's felt for me like a competition between who is going to be more pro-Palestine or more pro-Israel. And I was like, it's make me so many times getting angry about that, because we are talking about people's lives, and it's not a game. And I was like, I feel that it's people, they don't know the story. They don't know the whole story. And I was angry about the people, they don't talking about the middle side, about the humanity side. That they are not talking about both sides' pain. They're just talking about who is more more pro-Palestine, more Israeli. He's like, it's like have been, and it sometimes make me angry because people, they don't know the whole story.
What story don't they know?
Both sides, they have been, their life, and they have been taken away. And the violence and what happened 7 October, it's a horrible thing. And from the other side, who's being with Israel, for example, they don't know the story of Gaza and the people that have been killed and what's going on in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And there is no one in the middle side. I was like, you have to be in the middle. People have to fight for peace. They have to, like, it's for me, it's an opportunity that the people should fighting to making this peace in this time, mm-hmm. not war.
Do you see people in Israel who are fighting for that?
Yeah, and I am. That's what raise hope for me. Mm. There is so many organizations that they are working, but so many people, they're still afraid to get out and fight for that.
What is a book that you think everybody should read about Israel and Palestinians and Arab society?
I would say there's a book, but I'm not sure it's translated to English, or it's called the Arab minority in Israel. It's talking about so many issues that.
Who wrote this book?
I forgot. That is really talking about the reality of the Arab citizen Israel, how about the complexity and the fighting between the Arab citizens, like for the equal rights. I would find the writer, but he is local writer from mm-hmm. Nazareth, and I think, by the way, Jewish have to read this book because it's really explaining about the complexity of the Arab society here in Israel.
What do you wish the world knew about the Palestinian and Bedouin community in Israel?
I would, first of all, to know the story of many, to get to know the story, and for example, unrecognized villages, it's a huge thing. I would say, not only to know the story, and maybe they can do impact and influence about the government decision about this issue, and unrecognized village is supposed to be recognized by the government. People should be living in better places also.
Where do you identify on Israel's political and religious spectrum, like politically and religiously? And do you have friends who are on the other side of that?
I would say I am more my gender identity.
Political and religious.
I would say I am in the left wing, political.
And religiously?
Not extremely. Like in the left wing, who's fighting for justice. Mm-hmm. That's very important.
Can you explain the difference for you between the extreme left wing and the left wing that you are?
I would say for the left wings, for example, I know many people, that's amazing thing that they are fighting, like they are protest for the Arab society and doing so many things, but sometimes I feel they don't know the story of the Arab society.
Which story do you mean?
It doesn't have to be, for example, if you are fighting for the Arab society, you have to do action that you start to study Arabic, for example. Mm-hmm. Because Arabic language, it's what happened in 7 October, the language, it was way gap between Arab and Jewish people. Because sometimes if I say a word in Arabic and it's mean in Arabic, I don't know, so normal thing, the Jewish will translate it so extremely.
Can you give an example?
For example, I really using my from the Quran ayah. It's
What is
and
this?
Sukim,
Okay, oh, the verse.
the verse from the Quran. Sometimes I really love my Quran, and I sometimes I just share it in the Facebook because I'm a very believer person. And it maybe if they would say there is many friends they were asking me, Khitam, what you writing, Sam? Why you writing in Arabic? Why don't you write in Hebrew? Because we want to understand. I would say that's not my responsibility if you want to understand that or not. This is my language. I love my language. It's you. If you want to understand what I'm writing, you have to go and get and like learning Arabic. So it can be like you can be, if you want to be on the left side, but you are not knowing anything about the Arab society. You have to be doing actions, for example.
What other kinds of actions? You mentioned learning Arabic. Are there other things you're thinking about?
About the culture also, we have different cultures. And there is many things, beautiful things in my Arabic cultures. And also if you are action that you can come to Arab towns, you can get, I don't know, to come here to marketing. And the word that I have been heard from people that saying, I am so afraid to get to your town, Khitam. It's like, it sounds very violent. I say, okay, I'm living there. Like, I don't know nobody hurting me because, and that stereotype that I want people to be like.
The stereotype that your town or like an Arab town is dangerous.
Yeah, Arab dangerous, yes. And to encourage people to get more to Arab towns, not only for food, for many things.
Do you have more hope or fear for Israel?
I think I have hope more. What like in 7 we still in trauma. Like people even after the world ended, hopefully soon, people will still be in post-trauma. But I really believe in people here. All of them, they are doing in a good intention. Even if they are going to be fighting in Gaza, and his fighting is because he's loving his country, because this is his good intention. And if I am doing things for Arab and Jewish society here, because I really believe that we have to live in together. And even though there is many people, they stand for each other and solidarity and helping each other, I really have hope in people. And it's complicated and it's so hard, but I think my hope also, it translated by the people they still going out in the street protest against the government, and they are fighting for the kidnapped people, and that's giving me hope.
Wow. Well, Khitam, thank you so much for answering our 18 questions. How was this for you?
Wow.